Welcome back. Today we're exploring the hidden moments where respect is built, where attraction changes, and where your own boundaries decide the quality of your relationships. If you have ever felt like a woman's respect for you slowly started fading, but you couldn't figure out the exact moment it changed, this message is for you. Because here's a truth many men overlook. Respect in a relationship is rarely lost in one big moment. It usually disappears through small things that are ignored again and again. When a man fails to communicate his standards, protect his time, or maintain his boundaries, the dynamic slowly changes. In the early stages of dating, the way you handle certain situations shapes how someone sees you. There are key boundaries that separate a man who is valued and respected from a man who constantly feels like he is trying to prove himself. When these boundaries are missing, a man often finds himself overgiving, chasing approval, and wondering why the connection no longer feels the same. This is not about being cold, controlling, or playing mind games. It is about understanding your own value and creating a healthy structure where both people respect each other. Boundaries are not walls meant to push someone away. They are standards that show how you expect to be treated. Many men are taught to react after problems appear. They try to fix things once attraction has faded or respect has already been damaged. But the strongest position is creating the right foundation from the beginning. When you know your standards, you don't have to constantly fight for your place. The first boundary many men ignore is learning not to give unlimited access too quickly. One common mistake men make is confusing generosity with building a connection. They believe that sharing everything about their finances, lifestyle, and resources early on will create trust. But sometimes, instead of creating emotional closeness, it changes the way they are perceived. When you immediately reveal your income, savings, expensive purchases, or everything you can provide, you may unintentionally shift the focus from who you are as a person to what you can offer. Instead of being someone she is still discovering, you become someone she is evaluating. The mystery disappears and the relationship can start feeling less about connection and more about what role you can fill. Many men do this because they have been taught that their value comes from what they provide. While stability and generosity are positive qualities, offering too much too soon can create an unhealthy dynamic. A relationship should be built on mutual interest, emotional connection, and genuine effort from both sides. If you start solving problems, paying for everything, or taking responsibility before there is commitment, you may unintentionally place yourself in a position where you are giving more than the relationship has earned. You become the person who is always available to fix things, instead of the person she is building something with. This is where many men misunderstand generosity. Being kind does not mean having no limits. Being supportive does not mean abandoning your own needs. Sometimes the real test is not whether you can help, but whether you can stay grounded when you choose not to. You don't need to become defensive or explain yourself endlessly. A calm man with clear boundaries does not need to prove why he has standards. He simply understands what he is comfortable with and acts accordingly. A woman who genuinely respects you will usually understand that. She will appreciate that you have discipline and that you value yourself. Someone who only sees you through what you can provide may react differently, and that difference gives you important information. Boundaries do not destroy healthy connections. They reveal which connections are built on genuine respect. The second boundary is learning not to accept disrespect, especially the subtle forms that many people ignore. Most men imagine disrespect as something obvious, shouting, insults, or direct attacks. But often, the things that slowly damage a relationship are much quieter. Constant dismissiveness, ignoring your feelings, making jokes at your expense, crossing limits you already expressed, or treating your time and effort as if they do not matter. Small disrespect that goes unaddressed often becomes a pattern. And patterns become the foundation of the relationship. A man who values himself does not need to fight over every small issue, but he does need to recognize when something repeatedly crosses his standards. Respect is built through consistent actions, not through demands. The goal is not to control another person. The goal is to create a relationship where both people understand that kindness and respect go both ways. Real disrespect is rarely obvious. It usually doesn't come with a warning sign or a dramatic moment. It enters quietly, testing whether you will notice it and whether you will allow it to continue. It can appear in small situations that seem too minor to address. Maybe she constantly interrupts you while you're speaking and never lets you finish. Maybe she makes a joke at your expense and quickly hides behind, "I'm just kidding." Maybe she compares you to someone from her past or expects you to respond instantly while ignoring you whenever it suits her. Individually, these moments may not feel serious enough to create conflict, but that is exactly why they can become a pattern. Small behaviors that are repeatedly accepted often become the standard of the relationship. This does not mean every mistake is intentional or that every action is a hidden test. Sometimes people simply develop habits based on what they believe is acceptable. The important question is whether you communicate when something crosses your personal boundary. Imagine you're with her and a group of friends. Everyone is having a good time, laughing and talking. Someone asks about your relationship, and she jokingly says something like, "He's all right," while everyone laughs. You might smile and pretend it doesn't bother you. You might tell yourself she didn't mean anything by it. But moments like this reveal something important. How you respond shows what kind of treatment you are comfortable accepting. The issue is not one joke. The issue is whether there is a pattern of being dismissed, embarrassed, or treated as less important. Many men believe staying silent makes them appear mature, relaxed, or confident. But there is a difference between choosing not to react emotionally and ignoring something that genuinely affects your self-respect. A calm response does not require anger, an argument, or trying to embarrass someone back. A person with healthy confidence can simply communicate clearly when something doesn't feel right. The strongest response is often the simplest one. No long explanation. No emotional explosion. Just a clear message that certain behavior is not acceptable. Boundaries are not about controlling another person. They are about being honest about what you will and will not accept in your relationships. Respect grows when both people understand each other's limits. The third boundary many men struggle with is protecting their time. A common mistake is believing that being constantly available proves how much you care. You think replying immediately, changing your plans, or always saying yes shows commitment. But over time, this can create an unhealthy balance. When someone becomes the center of your entire schedule, you slowly lose connection with your own priorities. Maybe you cancel plans with friends whenever she is free. Maybe you skip your personal goals, hobbies, or routines just to make yourself available. Not because you don't have a life, but because you are afraid of losing the connection. The problem is that a healthy relationship should add to your life, not replace it. A person is naturally more confident and attractive when they have direction, responsibilities, passions, and a life they are proud of. This is not about pretending to be busy or playing games. It is about maintaining the identity you had before someone entered your world. A woman does not only notice how much you like her, she also notices whether you have a stable foundation of your own. Someone who abandons everything the moment another person appears may unintentionally communicate that they have nothing else holding their life together. Your time has value because your life has value. Protecting your schedule is not about making someone chase you. It is about making sure you don't lose yourself while trying to build something with someone else. The right person will not need you to destroy your own balance to prove that you care. A strong relationship is built when two people bring their complete lives together, not when one person disappears into the other. When you protect your time and maintain your own priorities, the dynamic naturally changes. She no longer sees you as someone who is always available at any moment. Instead, she sees you as someone with his own direction, someone whose time has value. Many men misunderstand this because they believe saying no, or not always being available, will weaken the connection. But healthy boundaries often create more respect. When you don't immediately drop everything whenever she reaches out, you show that you have self-control and that your life does not revolve around gaining someone's approval. For example, imagine she messages you late at night asking to meet spontaneously. You would like to see her, but you already have plans, an early morning, or something important you committed to. The insecure response is canceling everything instantly just to prove interest. The grounded response is different. You can show that you appreciate her reaching out while still respecting your own responsibilities. That simple choice communicates two important things. Your time matters, and the time you spend together is intentional rather than something you give away because you have nothing else happening. There is a difference between being unavailable and having purpose. A person who has goals, routines, and priorities does not need to pretend to be busy. Their life already has structure. Attraction grows when two people choose to make space for each other, not when one person abandons everything else to always be available. You don't build a stronger connection by constantly being present. You build it by being consistent, balanced, and secure in who you are. The fourth boundary many men struggle with is becoming someone's emotional support system before a real relationship has even been built. This is a situation that can feel confusing because it often starts with what appears to be deep connection. She opens up about her past, her painful experiences, her previous relationships, family problems, or personal struggles. She tells you that she feels comfortable with you and that she has never been understood like this before. It can feel special. It can feel like trust is growing. But emotional openness and emotional dependence are not always the same thing. Sometimes a person can begin relying on you for comfort and stability before they have actually built a mutual connection with you. Without realizing it, you may become the person who listens for hours, provides constant reassurance, solves problems, and carries emotional stress that is not yours to hold. Over time, the relationship dynamic can shift. Instead of being seen as a potential partner, you become the person who provides emotional relief whenever things become difficult. The mistake many people make is confusing being needed with being loved. Someone trusting you with their feelings can be meaningful, but real emotional bonding comes from mutual effort. Both people should be investing, supporting, and showing up for each other. Being compassionate does not mean becoming responsible for someone else's healing. You can listen without taking ownership of every problem. You can care without losing yourself in someone else's emotions. You can support someone without becoming their only source of stability. The goal is not to become distant or uncaring. The goal is to allow emotional closeness to develop naturally. Healthy emotional pacing means being present, understanding, and supportive while still maintaining your own balance. You don't have to become the person she calls every time life becomes overwhelming. You don't have to sacrifice your peace to prove that you care. A strong connection is created when both people have the opportunity to contribute, not when one person carries the emotional weight for both. Sometimes creating a little space does not weaken a relationship. It reveals whether both people are willing to move toward each other. Real attachment grows when there is mutual effort, curiosity, and emotional investment from both sides. You can be supportive without becoming someone's emotional rescue system. A healthy connection grows when both people are emotionally invested. A woman often becomes more attached when she has the opportunity to contribute, support, and build something with you. A relationship becomes stronger when the effort flows in both directions. If one person is always carrying the emotional responsibility, solving every problem, and providing constant reassurance, the connection can become unbalanced. Support is important, but a strong relationship is not built on one person being the emotional foundation for the other. The goal is not to avoid intimacy, it is to protect the quality of that intimacy. Real closeness develops when two people choose each other, show up for each other, and create emotional security together. The fifth boundary is learning how to handle distance without losing yourself. This is where many people make mistakes. Everything seems to be going well. The conversations feel natural, the connection feels mutual, and then suddenly something changes. Her replies become slower. She seems less engaged. The energy feels different. In that moment, many men immediately assume the worst. They start wondering what went wrong, whether they made a mistake, or whether someone else has entered the picture. That uncertainty creates anxiety, and anxiety often leads to actions that make the situation worse. They send more messages. They try harder to get attention back. They constantly check in. They increase their effort because they believe more effort will restore the connection. But when one person pulls away and the other person starts overcompensating, the balance changes. Instead of creating closeness, it can create pressure. A healthy relationship needs room for both people to choose each other freely. If someone creates distance, the answer is not always to chase harder. Sometimes, the healthiest response is to remain calm and allow the situation to reveal itself. A change in someone's behavior can mean many things. They may be busy. They may be dealing with personal issues. Their feelings may have changed. The important thing is not to immediately abandon your own emotional stability, trying to control the outcome. When you panic, you often stop acting from confidence and start acting from fear. You begin trying to convince someone to stay instead of observing whether they are choosing to stay. Attraction does not grow from constantly proving your worth. It grows when both people have space to appreciate each other. This is the difficult part for many people because we are often taught that more effort fixes everything. We believe if we give more, communicate more, and try harder, we can save any connection. But sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stop forcing what should naturally be mutual. When you stop chasing someone's withdrawal, two things can happen. If the person genuinely cares, they have the space to recognize the distance and make their own effort. The connection can become balanced again because both people are participating. If they do not return, you gain clarity. You realize the boundary did not push them away. It simply revealed the level of interest that was already there. The painful truth is that sometimes people lose themselves, trying not to lose someone else. A healthy relationship should not require you to constantly prove that you deserve attention. You should not have to sacrifice your peace to maintain someone's interest. Space does not create love, but it reveals whether love and effort already exist. The 5 boundaries discussed are not about controlling another person or creating games. They are about maintaining your identity while building a relationship. Protecting your financial boundaries helps you build trust based on who you are, not only what you can provide. Addressing disrespect protects your dignity. Protecting your time keeps you connected to your own purpose. Pacing emotional intimacy allows connection to develop naturally. and staying calm when someone pulls away protects your self-respect. Together, these boundaries create a healthier foundation. The right person will appreciate that you have standards, direction, and a sense of self. A relationship should not require you to become smaller just to be chosen. The strongest version of yourself is not the person who gives everything away to keep someone close. It is the person who knows his value and allows love to grow without abandoning who he is. You do not build confidence by demanding more from someone else. You build it by expecting more from yourself. The most important lesson is that respect is not something you demand from someone else. It is something you create through the way you treat yourself. The standards you set, the time you protect, and the limits you communicate all send a message about the kind of relationship you are willing to build. Many people believe attraction is only about doing more, giving more attention, offering more support, sacrificing more, and constantly proving their feelings. But a healthy connection is not created by one person constantly trying to earn their place. It is created when two people naturally choose to show up, contribute, and respect each other. A man who has boundaries is not a man who cares less. He is a man who understands that love should not require him to abandon himself. He can be generous without being used, supportive without becoming responsible for someone else's emotions, and loving without losing his own identity. Remember, the goal is not to become distant, cold, or impossible to reach. The goal is to become grounded. A person who knows his worth does not need to constantly prove that he is valuable. His actions, his discipline, and the way he carries himself already communicate that. The right woman will not see your boundaries as a threat. She will see them as a sign of maturity. She will understand that a strong relationship is not built between two people who complete each other because they are empty. It is built between two people who already have a sense of self and choose to share their lives together. Never forget that attention is not the same as respect. Someone can enjoy your presence, your kindness, and everything you provide, but true respect comes from recognizing who you are beyond what you give. Sometimes the greatest shift happens when you stop asking, "How can I make someone value me?" and start asking, "Am I valuing myself through the choices I make?" Because when you protect your peace, honor your time, and stand firmly in your standards, you naturally create healthier relationships. You stop chasing validation and start attracting connections where effort, respect, and appreciation exist on both sides. The strongest man is not the one who can give the most. He is the one who knows when to give, when to receive, and when to step back from anything that requires him to sacrifice his self-respect. A relationship should be a place where you feel appreciated, not a place where you constantly have to prove your worth. Keep your heart open, but keep your standards clear. Because the right person will never ask you to lose yourself just to keep them.